What happens when a brilliant man loses everything to a broken justice system? He doesn't just seek revenge, he declares war. At the beginning of the film, we see a man named Clyde with his wife and young daughter. One night, while Clyde is talking to his daughter, the doorbell suddenly rings. He goes to open the door, and as soon as he does, someone strikes his head hard with a baseball bat. Clyde collapses, and the attackers start dragging him. Hearing the noise, his wife comes to help, but one of the attackers begins assaulting her. And not only that, right in front of Clyde, the man rapes his wife. Hearing her parents scream, the daughter also comes running. One of the criminals, named Darby, kills the girl in front of Clyde. But Clyde fell unconscious before that. The story then shifts to a man named Nick, a lawyer who is handling Clyde's case. We hear Nick telling Clyde that the case is weak and there's no other option but to settle. Darby's lawyer agrees to a deal, shifting all the blame onto his partner in exchange for a lighter sentence. When Nick tells this to Clyde, he becomes furious because Darby was the one who murdered his wife and daughter in front of him. Clyde insists Darby is guilty and must be punished, but Nick says they have no choice and must accept the deal or risk losing the case entirely. Clyde pleads with Nick not to go ahead with the settlement, but Nick has already made the deal. In court, the agreement is finalized, and Darby gets a light sentence. Clyde is devastated, knowing the real culprit escaped justice. He quietly leaves the courtroom. Nick returns home where we see his pregnant wife. Then the story jumps forward 10 years. Nick now has a daughter and is getting ready for work. His wife reminds him to pay more attention to the family, as he is often busy with work. At his office, Nick and his assistant go to witness the execution of a criminal named Ames. Ames insists he is being punished for a crime he didn't commit and that Darby was the real culprit. During the execution, the chemicals that were supposed to kill him painlessly cause him to die in severe agony. Everyone is shocked. Upon investigation, the police find that the chemicals were tampered with, and a note saying, "Don't fight fate," is found. Nick recalls Ames saying the same thing during the trial. He suspects that Darby was behind the tampering and that Clyde might be involved. Meanwhile, Darby receives a mysterious phone call. As police sirens are heard, he is given instructions to escape. He is led to a car parked in a warehouse, but as he tries to attack the person inside, he falls into a trap, set by none other than Clyde. Clyde had coated the gun handle with tetrodotoxin, a compound that causes paralysis. Darby is rendered helpless. Clyde then takes him to a hidden location that resembles an operating room, where he tortures and kills Darby by cutting his body into 25 pieces. Nick begins to suspect that Ames' death wasn't caused by Darby after all, but by someone more intelligent, possibly Clyde. Darby's brutal death only strengthens Nick's suspicion. He asks his assistant to gather information on Clyde, and they discover that Clyde is a genius with over 2,000 patents. Recently, he sold all his patents and bought various properties near airports, chemical plants, and train stations. The evidence strongly points to Clyde. The police and Nick arrest him. Clyde records Darby's brutal murder and sends the video to Nick's house. The footage is so horrifying that Nick's daughter is traumatized. In jail, Nick tries to get a confession from Clyde, but Clyde is cunning. Instead, he makes a deal. He wants a bed and a mattress in exchange for more information. Reluctantly, they agree to his demands. Clyde reassures his family that everything is fine and that the video was just a warning. Later, Clyde is put on trial, but due to a lack of solid evidence, Nick fails to prove his guilt. The judge is forced to grant Clyde. But suddenly, Clyde starts laughing loudly at the judge and calls the judge a puppet of the law. And he also questions her why she is letting him go when there are strong evidences against him. Hearing this, the judge gets angry and denies Clyde's bail. Seeing this, it seems like Clyde never wanted bail in the first place. Even Nick is surprised. He goes to talk to Clyde in jail and asks him what he really wants. Clyde confesses to both of his crimes in front of Nick. But when Nick tries to leave, Clyde talks about making another confession and a deal. Clyde says he's very hungry and wants food from a good restaurant. But Nick refuses, saying that Clyde is not in a position to negotiate anymore and has nothing left to offer. Clyde responds that this deal is in exchange for Bill Reynolds' life. Hearing that, Nick leaves and investigates Bill Reynolds, discovering that he was also an attorney and is now missing for the past 3 days. Clyde then tells them that Reynolds is still alive, but if he doesn't get his lunch by 1 p.m., saving Reynolds will be impossible. Clyde eventually gets his food, but it's delivered 8 minutes late. He begins eating and says, "You're 8 minutes late. Hurry, and save Reynolds." Clyde gives them Reynolds' location. Nick and his team rush to find him, discovering Reynolds tied up in a coffin with an oxygen supply. But because they arrived 8 minutes late, Reynolds dies as his oxygen was timed. Meanwhile, Clyde kills his cellmate. So he's moved to another cell. Nick visits him again, and they argue. Clyde insists that all the guilty must be punished. Nick tries to stop him, reminding him of his wife and daughter, but Clyde refuses. Nick and his partner then meet a man who once worked with Clyde. He tells them that Clyde is a mastermind and everything happening is part of a well-planned strategy. He warns that Clyde cannot be stopped easily, only killing him is the best option. He also reveals that everyone involved in Clyde's wife and daughter's case is in danger. Hearing this, Nick rushes to warn the judge. While she's listening to Nick, her phone rings. As soon as she picks it up, it explodes, killing her. Nick and the mayor are shaken. Nick meets Clyde again. Clyde reveals detailed information about Nick's family, which angers him. Nick warns him not to harm his family and promises to bring justice to Clyde and anyone helping him. But Clyde offers another deal: "Get me out of here by 6 a.m. tomorrow or I'll kill everyone. If you do, I'll stop everything. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe." Nick starts reviewing Clyde's old case files, hoping to find something useful. As 6 a.m. approaches, the team gets anxious about what Clyde might do next. Nick encourages them, saying they'll rest briefly and then take action. He tells everyone to go home since they had been working all night. But as everyone approaches their cars, bombs start going off one by one, killing most of the team, including Nick's assistant Sarah. Nick meets the mayor, who angrily demands how murders are happening if the killer is in custody. Nick learns that Clyde hasn't used any credit or debit cards in 10 years, only cash, leaving no trace. Furious, Nick confronts Clyde again. Clyde says, "I'm fighting the system, not you. We're face to face because you're part of it. Try to stop me, and you'll die too." Later, Nick and his remaining team attend Sarah's funeral. There, they spot a man operating something suspicious. After the funeral, as they head for a press conference, a robotic gun attacks their convoy. Clyde kills Jonas, who was helping Nick. Due to continued murders, Mayor April declares a citywide curfew. The entire city is terrified of Clyde. Nick decides to investigate Clyde's industrial property and finds something important: it's right next to the prison where Clyde is held. He and a detective inspect the place, which turns out to be a warehouse. They discover a tunnel leading directly into Clyde's cell. That means Clyde built the tunnel and killed his cellmate to move into that cell. Using the tunnel, Nick and his team reach Clyde's cell but find it empty. They realize Clyde is either planning something or about to kill again. Seeing some documents, Nick figures out that Clyde is heading to City Hall to kill the mayor. He rushes there, checks the schedule, and finds out that a major meeting with high-ranking officials is happening on the 6th floor. Clyde plans to target them too. They locate the bombs Clyde planted but learn that they can't be defused. Nick says they must inform the mayor, but he also realizes that doing so would cause panic and give Clyde the chance to detonate the bombs remotely. They're stuck, unsure how to stop Clyde without causing casualties. Clyde returns to his cell through the tunnel, but finds Nick waiting for him. Clyde realizes that Nick has figured everything out. They argue again. Clyde says, "You can't stop me, Now everyone will feel the pain I felt. Nick tries to stop him from pressing the detonator. That phone in his hand controls the bombs planted for the mayor. Clyde, filled with rage, presses the button, but nothing happens. He notices the tunnel entrance and cell door have been locked from the outside. He hears his own bomb ticking. Realizing Nick has outsmarted him, the bomb explodes, killing Clyde. In the end, law-abiding citizen forces us to ask, was Clyde Shelton a monster, or a man pushed beyond his limits? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intense movie breakdowns, right here on CRAWMEN.